Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Kent Holste podcast exclusively right here on YouTube. I'm so glad you decided to click this link and join in the conversation, join in this community that we have right here. And I just want people to grow and to comfort each other. And that's what this is all about, because let's face it, there's not a lot of that going on there's not a lot of people that are thinking and being positive. You know, I was at that point in my life where I wasn't thinking positive. I was thinking negative. I was thinking that people were out to get me. And maybe in some ways they were, but not to the extreme that my conspiracy theories were leaning me towards. And a lot of it had to do with the manipulation, the things that were going on in my personal life, where my anxiety was pushed to an all-time high. And because of that, I started to think things that weren't true. I started to picture and imagine things that weren't really there. And because of that, it was the downfall of what would be some of the toughest times in my life. And the sad thing is about these times when we go through these times of weakness, that I call it, when we're at our most vulnerable, we allow ourselves to fall into these pits of what we feel is so unbearable that the only thing we can do is to self-medicate. We find ourselves wanting to close up to the world, and we don't want to talk to anybody. We don't want to socialize. We don't want to do anything but seclude ourselves in our own little world that we start to form, where we begin to think that it's okay to not have trust in people, that they will be sincere enough to listen and to understand. And we get to these points where we get to this bottom of the bottom, and we start to feel like life is not worth living. We start to think to ourselves that people won't care if I'm gone. And we start to feel these things when people tell us that our self-worth is just not there, that it doesn't exist. There was plenty of times in my life where I would get picked on so bad that I actually thought that the best option to eliminate the pain, eliminate all these emotions, was to go somewhere where no one would find me and just end it. I was that miserable because I thought no one would understand. I thought that no one wanted to hear what I was going through. It got bad. It got so bad that I tried to reach out to certain people. They wouldn't pick up the phone. I tried to talk to people that I thought I could trust, and I thought in my mind that they truly cared and that they loved me, but they would try to convince me that what I was feeling wasn't worth their time, that what I was feeling wasn't really the case. They didn't want to listen. And I think when people are going through this, when people are going through these emotions, and they're finding out very, very quickly that there's not a lot of people who want to be there to listen, to try to understand, or that can even relate. The harsh reality is this world doesn't want to deal with people that are depressed. If people don't have something thrilling, something exciting to talk about, then it's really just not worth their time. People don't want to pull themselves away from their busy day to do whatever they think is more important than to listen to someone who is going through some very traumatic and tough times. And that's why it's so important to me about this podcast that people who have gone through these things, instead of just sitting and listening and not responding, instead of not talking about what they went through in this same thing and how they pulled through, what they did to succeed, then maybe things would be different. Because I know what it's like to lose someone who gave up on life. A few years ago, before the pandemic, before this world fell into this seclusion that was forced, and people were forced to be alone. I had people that I have known commit suicide, and it was at least 5 or 6 people in 1 year that decided to take the easy way out, not talk about their feelings, their emotions, and take their own life. Some of it was on purpose. Some of it was because they didn't know how to deal with their own pain in their life. And they decided to do drugs, to go back to their old ways and just do it one more time because it worked before. Nothing bad happened before, but I'm going to try it again. And that one time took their life. I know what it's like to go to these wakes, these funerals of people that were my friends, and not have the opportunity to say goodbye. And when these things started to happen, I realized if I went through all that pain of knowing what it's like to lose these people, why would I put that same type of pain on somebody else who does care about me, who does value my friendship? What would my kids think, knowing that their dad took the easy way out and decided to take his own life? That's just a question I don't want to have answered. If you are listening to this podcast and you are struggling in your mind and you're feeling defeated and you're feeling like the world is crumbling right before your own eyes, if you feel like in this world today there is nobody who cares, that there is nobody who wants to listen, you're wrong. It's no surprise. You can contact me by email. It's easy. KentHolstePodcast@gmail.com. And I will talk to you and I will listen and I won't judge you. But the one thing I will do is be your best friend. I don't have to know you to care about you. It's what we should be doing every single day. Each and every one of us is caring about another person. Or there's other options that you can do. You can call or contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. And there are people who work there specifically because they care about people. You can go to your church and talk to your pastor. And if you don't have a church, you can go to any church, and I'm sure there is someone there that would be willing to listen and to talk to you and guide you the right way. Or you can do what I did. You can take the biggest step that you could ever make and go to see and visit a therapist. You can see someone who can specialize in getting you on medications to help with your depression, your PTSD, your anxiety, your struggles with depression. You could get all the help that you need just by just saying, this is what I'm struggling with. Bam, you don't need to go into the details of what's causing it, but you can tell them what you're going through emotionally, the signs, the symptoms that you're having, and they'll help you. But if you have the thought in your mind that people are out to attack you, to hurt you, and that there's no one in this world that is good and sincere, you need to think again, because there are people who care, that would care about you so much that they would give you the clothes off their own back to show you that they care, to show you that they would do anything for you just to make you smile, just to make you laugh, just to make you feel loved. I'm telling you today that taking the easy way out is not the answer. Life is not intended to be easy. Life is hard. And for some of us, our days in our lives, we feel like we're on a constant climb on this mountain that is steep. But when you surround yourself with people that are good, that won't cut you down, that won't hurt you emotionally or physically, that won't try to convince you that the only way to get through life, through your pain, is by taking drugs and doing alcohol and abusing it to the point that your body becomes frail and it starts to wither away. Not only have I seen the effects of what people go through when they do heroin, I've seen the effects of what it can do to people that were my friends as well, that were meth addicts. Don't do that to yourself. Don't make the road that's already hard get 10 times harder just because you think that that's the easy way to get past, to move forward, to put it behind you like it doesn't exist. Our pain in our life will never go away. It will always be in the back of your mind, but it's all how you treat it. It's all how you use it for your advantage. People sometimes disagree with this with me because I say your pain is your motivation. Your hurt is your motivation. If I'm wrong, then why is it true that I went through some of the most difficult and trying things, but yet I used it for my motivation to push me to be at my best? I was a horrible, miserable person, but now I see clearly. I stay on top of being on my medications to help with my PTSD, my high anxiety, my depression, and now I'm able to live life not in pain, even though there's plenty of it still there. And I can see the big picture, that the more I work harder, the more I put my faith in Jesus, the more that I lay things down that are my deepest struggles, and I say, you know what, Lord, you can have it. You can have my fear, you can have my pain, you can have my depression, you can have all my insecurities, my worries, my fears, my night terrors, my bad dreams. And wherever you want to take me, I will go. And I've said this many, many times on this podcast. You want to see what happens when you do that, when you focus and you let God be your roadmap, you let God be in control of your life. Look what has happened to me in the last 3 years. I no longer live in fear. I no longer let the voices of what others once said control my fears, my emotions. I live life to the fullest, looking at every situation in a different way than I did ever before my entire life. Where I see a negative, I see a positive. When I see a roadblock, I try to figure out a game plan first before I just decide to say, screw it, I'm going to go over this. I'm going to make this my own, and I don't care how I do it or what I got to do. This is how I'm going to do it. None of that anymore. I think about how it's going to benefit me going this way and how it will not be a benefit. I think about how it will help me grow and how it will benefit others around me. If you have that mentality to think that way in your life, you will succeed because it all adds up. You have God on your side. You have good, positive people surrounding you, whether it be your pastor, your therapist, or whatever. And who knows, maybe one day you will find that special person in your life, or maybe you already do have them in your life and they become more close to you and they become more and more your motivation to be at your best. And the best part is, if you have kids, oh my goodness, that opens the door for more and more, because your kids, when you wake up each and every single day and you see the smile on their faces, and when they come running to you and give you a hug and they say, I love you, that should be the biggest motivation to make you push harder, to give them the life that they deserve, that they can go into their life in the future and be successful. Because you know what happens when you give your lives? You know what happens when you give your kids positivity? When you give them the life where they can look up to you and see that you make good, positive choices, that you surround yourself with good, wholesome people that won't hurt you, cut you down, and say hurtful things, and do all these other things that are destructive, because then they learn that that's the way they should do it. But no, when you have good people that love you and care for you and build you up and say, yes, you can do this. Whatever your dreams are, go for them. Push for them. Don't let me hold you back. What are you waiting for? Get out there and do it. You will have success, not only with you, your marriage, your relationships, but also you will have success raising your kids. And that success with your kids will grow in their lives and their minds, and they will take it wherever they go, knowing that this is how I was raised. This is the beliefs that I was taught, and I am going to stand by those because I saw it work. You know, and when you talk about it, it sounds so good, but when you actually put it to work and you see it happen, that's a whole nother ball game. So then I gotta ask you, hearing all this, after all this amazing things that could happen, what are you waiting for? Do you really have reason to be down? Do you really have reason to be depressed? Do you really have reason to look at your life and say to yourself, you know what, it's just not worth it? No, you're going to look at yourself and you're going to be like, yeah, let's go. Let's make the most out of today. Because no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody does, I'm going to utilize every situation, every scenario, and I'm going to make it to my benefit for my future because this is my life. And this is the biggest part of this whole entire podcast that you need to listen to, this next part right here. If you don't have people that stand by you, that believe in you, that tell you that you're good enough, that you're beautiful, that you're perfect in their eyes, and so on and so forth, and you hear all these positive, amazing things, those are the people you need to keep in your life. But if you have people that are destructive, trying to hold you back, that are bringing you down, that use things that are there at their disposal to bring you down and to hurt you because they know it's your weak spot, that it's your weakness, then those are the people you need to get rid of so fast that there are no words that you can say before they should be already out the door. Their things are packed and you're moving on to a whole better life. Because I'm going to tell you something. These people that purposely bring you down, these people that constantly criticize you, belittle you, try to use your family's problems and situations of hard times and unfortunate situations against you are not the right people for you. You are only doing more damage to your already broken confidence. And this is no reason to be down. Just because you're going through these things and you're hearing these examples and you're going on your checklist, yep, that's me, yep, that's me, yep, that's me. And the more that you hear it, the more you're going, my life is shitty. My life is pretty bad. But in reality, it's not. Because you haven't given yourself a chance to get past those things, to move forward, to believe in yourself, to know each and every single day that you are worth it and that no matter what that person says to bring you down, you are going to put your foot down, keep your head held high and say, you know what? You're not worth my time. Because there are people out there that will actually treat me with respect, that will actually be my friend when I need them the most and not try to push me away. I refuse to let people like you in my life because I know I deserve better. And you, unfortunately, are going to realize one day that your self-misery that you live in is only hurting yourself. And I'm not going to let that affect myself. So until you decide to be positive, until you decide to realize that the way you're living your life is the problem, not mine, because I'm trying to do what's best for me and my life, then there's no more need for this conversation to go on, because it's all not worth the breath that I have to take to try to explain to you that you're hurting me. And from now on, from this moment forward, I am not going to let that hurt control my life. That's all you got to say. That's all you got to do. And sometimes you have to be harsh to get the truth out. It's like they say, the truth hurts. Sometimes these people need to hear what they're doing to other people. Sometimes they need to hear that they're miserable. Sometimes these people need to hear that they're not a good person. But it doesn't mean that they can't change. The issue with my life is people tried to tell me who I was for a very long time in a positive way, but they were harsh about it because they were concerned. But in my own conspiracy world, I was twisting it as they were against me. They didn't like me. They didn't want any part of my life. They didn't care. Yada, yada, yada. The little violins were playing. I was playing the victim, and it took me nowhere good. In fact, it ruined those friendships. Because you know what happens when you don't listen to people that care? They start to think to themselves, well, if they're not going to listen to my advice, then maybe I should stop giving it to them. And is that a risk you want to take, is for people to stop trying to help you? And then the ironic thing is, it's those people who then say, no one cares about me. No one wants to listen to me. And it's because you pushed all those people away by telling them they didn't know what they were talking about. So the question is, from this podcast today, what are you going to do today Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, not when it's convenient after you finish your sandwich or your dessert or whatever. You're going to do it today, right now. You're going to start living this way and trying to think positive, because there's people out there who think, oh, it's not in me. I don't have it in me. It's not me to think that way. Really? Because you're thinking negative right now. You're letting yourself say these words. They're not being forced out of you to say that. It's you choosing to say these things to me right now. So why don't you stop yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to catch myself the next time when I say that. I'm going to say that I can do this, that I am a good person, that I can be positive, that I can do what I can, not what I can't. And I do believe in myself, because then the moment you start doing that, you are on the right path. You are on the road to success. And yes, the more you say, well, I'm going to do it tomorrow. No, I'm not going to do it right now. I'm going to put it off. It's that revolving thing that I always say is that little carnival ride that likes to just go in circles. That carousel is just spinning round and round, and it's not going anywhere else. You're not going anywhere when you're constantly going in the same direction. Sometimes you have to go where you're not comfortable and take that first step to doing what is going to blow your mind. Because when you get that first taste of, wow, did this just happen? Did I really do something that for years someone else was telling me that I never could do? Did I really just open Pandora's box? Well, I guess you'll find out. So I encourage you, if you heard something in this podcast today and it's really resonated with you and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I encourage you to do it today. Don't wait. Just do it. If you've been through any of these scenarios where you've had rough moments in your life, these struggles, and you felt at the lowest of the lowest, you felt like it was the end, but somehow maybe you got help. Maybe someone was there for you. Maybe you yourself made the right move without anybody's help, and you started doing certain things like going to the gym, going to church, seeing a therapist, going to a doctor. Maybe it was going to a support group. How did it help you? What advice can you give to someone who's listening right now that is struggling that can help them today? Let's be a community. Let's join this community together and make this world a better place, so we don't have to see the people that we care about leave this world earlier than what they should. And as always, remember to think and be positive. Do what you can, not what you can't. And I believe in you. Don't you think you should too? And if you've seen someone, or if you know someone, or if you come across someone who has served our country, whether it be police, military, fire, or even the hardworking people in our medical facilities, take the few seconds and thank them. Let them know how much you appreciate them. You never know how much they might appreciate that one random act of kindness. So do it today. And until the next time we talk, please be safe. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell for all the notifications so you can hear the next podcast right here on the Kent Holste Podcast on YouTube. God bless.